Welcome to the podcast where relationships, confidence, and determination all converge into an amazing, heartfelt experience. This is Speaking from the Heart.
Welcome back to episode number 77 of Speaking from the Heart. And I have to ask you a question. Are you letting go when it counts the most? I know for myself, I have had this struggle throughout most of my life of wanting to let go of some of the things that have held me back from achieving greatness. That includes not only the things that have been obstacles, whether that is people that I have encountered, let alone the obstacles that I have seen truly play out in front of me, whether I had to jump over them, duck underneath them, or slide to the left or slide to the right. I have to be careful, though, about those things that I let go of because they actually make a big difference in my overall life. But when we are talking about letting go, we're talking about really is what the biggest thing is that we're trying to strive for the most, which is acceptance. So today I want to spend a lot of time really talking about how we can interact with other people and not worrying about what other people think about who we are. Now, this subject hits home for me because for many years, especially growing up in school, I had a lot of worries about not only the things that I was perceived to be, which was fat, ugly, and stupid, but I had to worry about other sort of aspects that maybe others didn't have to worry about. Ever heard of having a speech impediment? How about actually being a few grades behind in reading comprehension and math to the point that you had to go and attend a special education class on those subjects alone? To top it all off, being made fun of because you're geeky. Now, thankfully, I didn't wear the glasses that some people have to wear when going through school and being teased as four eyes or any other derogatory term. But I think that really left a big impression on me and how I felt like I was being treated, because I was not treated like everybody else. As a matter of fact, I was not socially accepted by any standard whatsoever. It wasn't really until college that I started to really feel a lot better about who I was, because I was starting to adapt and evolve into what I really enjoyed the most, wanting to be a lawyer. Now, obviously, I haven't ended up being a lawyer because I'm here on this podcast show and running my coaching business, Your Speaking Voice LLC. But I always think, just as that famous Disney series is that just came out recently, what if it would have been if I was a lawyer instead? But I digress, because what really happened for me as a result of being set back was that it gave me a lot more opportunities. In other words, when I was forced to let go of what was really my path leading forward, I was able to do things that really counted the most and be able to provide in a way in which I never thought possible to other people. Aristotle said it best, in which he declared in one of his famous literatures, humans are political animals. And I mention this definition because, no, I'm not talking about the fact that we are political creatures, which for my United States fans, you know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to people that are affiliated with the toxicity of politics, whether you're Republican, Democrat, you're a part of the Green Party, whether you're part of the No Labels Party, regardless of what it is. What I'm talking about, and Aristotle was talking about, is having the social acceptance by today's standards by being able to understand and relate to others. Now, I know if my political science professor from back in the day is listening to this, she will bash me over the head because she will say to me, Josh, that is not what I meant by teaching you in 101, Introduction to Political Science. And don't worry, I understand, and I'm not saying that that's the true definition. But I will say this. When we have that ability in which we want to be socially accepted by somebody else, we try to go above and beyond what usually is the call of duty to make sure that those people are taken care of. But we're more worried about what their opinion is as opposed to what we should be worrying about in the day-to-day and actually listening to what our hidden desires and aspirations are to achieve greatness. But there are many signs that are around us when it comes to not only accepting who other people say that we should be, but really what we should become is actually easier than you might think by simply looking at your day to day. Now do this with me, and if you need to pause the episode, feel free to do it. But why don't you take a sheet of paper out and write down all the things that you enjoy doing, whether they're very small in nature, it could be even washing the dishes, all the way to the things that you absolutely love doing, whether that's reading a book, maybe going on a hiking trail, maybe it's one of the most expensive hobbies, which is going on cruises and international travel. Some of my guests, even Mark Snow, if we have featured on this show, talks about the importance of being able to travel with that connection, being able to know what other people are doing. So you list all those things out, and I'm sure you're going to come up with a large number of them. Then, take the other half of that sheet or get a fresh sheet and write down all the things that you despise doing. And I'm not just talking about the things that are just really simplistic in nature that you absolutely despise doing, like maybe folding the laundry or even putting away the dishes, because some people like cleaning them, but putting them away is a whole other ball game. But I'm talking about the things that you absolutely don't like doing. Maybe it's the fear of public speaking, which if you need some help, I'm more than willing to help you, being that I'm a public speaking coach myself. Even with those things, write down what you absolutely despise from the lowest to the highest category that you absolutely hate doing. Now, I want you to look at that list. I want you to study it carefully and think about all the things that you absolutely love doing and absolutely hate doing. Now, thank you very much for writing all the bad things down. We can dispose of that because what I'm more interested in is what you absolutely enjoy. And if you're not doing what you're absolutely enjoying, then what are you doing? Is it something that you could get paid for? Are any of the things that you have listed allowing you to create those opportunities to excel? Whether that's in some sort of adventure that you like to do with traveling and maybe being a columnist or a writer, a bunch of different types of destinations, or maybe it's something else that you really like. Maybe you like talking to people. Maybe you love being socially accepted by those aspects. You see, I think in human nature, we get attuned to the types of people that we love hanging out with. Meaning, if I like to go to the gym and work out, I'm obviously going to hang out with other people that love to go to the gym also, and that they also love to work out. We'd be texting memes and pictures of all kinds of different types of exercises and making fun of each other because our muscle sizes are not equal to what everybody else in the gym is doing, and we definitely are in there to be a lot better. But I digress. I'm sure that not everybody is making fun of each other. And by all means, I would not encourage that, especially being somebody that has been teased for quite a long time about their body shape. But even with all that said, are you letting those things that you absolutely love be part of your life? And I'm not just saying that you're doing it because you love doing it, but you actually taking time to dive into it, to enjoy what that actually is creating for your life. Or are you letting the paper that you threw away earlier seep into the good things, and you're letting that create a toxic environment where, yeah, you enjoy doing the positive things, but you're kind of stuck on doing some of the murky things as well? In the business world, I often talk to people about the importance of letting go of some of the things that they don't have control over and allowing them to be able to work on the things that they truly enjoy the most. In some future episodes, I'm going to have some guests that we actually talk about this subject matter, but I'll say that for some of us, doing the books for the business, maybe working on some marketing, or maybe even just paying the bills are just some of the most murkiest, disgusting things that we have to do. And we have to let that go and give that to somebody else. That's why we pay people to provide a service or a product. It helps to make our lives a lot more convenient. Now, I'm not saying and advocating that you need to make a whole budget for all these different things and pay for all those different people, because I think working in the rough and dealing with a lot of different things makes you stronger. I think that's so important, especially if we're going to be able to live this happy, fulfilling life. because we need to be able to not just see what those signs are that are around us, but we also need to be able to look at the signs that are not around us and pay attention to the clues that are being given. Now, I know what you're asking. We're already several minutes into this episode, and you have yet to hear this profound message that I have to say. You're probably asking, Josh, when are you going to get to the good stuff? When are you actually going to share with me what it means to actually let go? When are you actually going to share with me what are some of the things that I should count on? Well, I hate to disappoint you, but it's not coming. You might be asking, well, why aren't you going to tell me? Because it's so simple, right? You're able to write this down. You have it all figured out. You're going to implement some of the things that you have on the list. You're going to talk to some other people and help you become better. You're actually going to do what you really wanted to do for the longest time. You're actually letting go of the toxic things, and you're counting on the good things to carry you through. That's not how life works. You see, I left out a very important part of my story that I shared earlier with you that I think really provides some context to what we're talking about. Those things that I had been going through for most of my life, I held on for 30 years. And I'm talking about the things that have been problems that I had with reading and writing and arithmetic, even talking about my own ability to speak eloquently and clearly to others. I really let that be an inhibiting factor that held me back for so long. Now, why is that such a big deal? Well, when I try to write my list of what's good and what's bad, it all becomes jaded because of what other people have said about me and who I am. It got to the point that it really held me back from not only experiencing the true joys of what college was about, but I know that I have been stuck in so many different types of jobs throughout my life that I know were not fulfilling whatsoever. And I know that they were creating some of those aspirations and those talents that were not being utilized to their fullest potential. As a matter of fact, Aristotle would be very mad at me to know that I wasn't working to help myself, to be able to learn from others, to be a social creature by nature, to be a political animal, to be able to help others achieve their greatness. And it wasn't until I was 35 years of age that I finally opened Your Speaking Voice LLC, and I'm doing what I really enjoy the most. After all the trials, all the tribulations, all the crying, bloody messes that I usually got myself into, and yes, they were bloody at some occasion, and I was not leading the best life. Now, I'm not just saying to you today that it isn't about the good things that you should be doing and that you should be spending more time in those things. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's really important to reflect on the things that you threw away earlier, the negative things, because that is what builds the character. That's what allows us to associate with other people, and that's what creates the bonds and friendships that truly mean the most to us, because we can relate to those people that are going through such a hard time. I know that for many of us, it's so easy to take a big step back and be able to look at all the times that those sort of instances occurred in our life, whether they are the relationships that have failed, the friendships that didn't work out the way that they intended, let alone the things that we needed to be as social, political animals to create those best versions of ourselves. I know that acceptance is a very tough subject because we always strive to be accepted, whether it's at our job so that we can keep it, whether we are in a relationship with our husband or wife or a boyfriend or girlfriend, or you are just leading the day-to-day, just wanting to be accepted by society because you have a lot to offer and you're selling yourself so that you can let the world know what you have to offer. And I've talked about in previous episodes the importance of being able to know that message and being able to develop it. And I encourage you to listen to some of those if you are struggling with the way in which you are finding that acceptance. But don't find the acceptance in the negativity all the time. There's a balance between what you should be able to do and what you're not able to do. And I encourage you to lead a life in which you challenge yourself to dive into the things that you're not as comfortable with, because it'll give you a brand new perspective of what it looks like to be on the other side of that fence, especially when you're talking to someone that is going through such a hard time. You see, in today's society, we have such a tough time being able to associate with others because we don't know what it feels like to be in their shoes. We often avoid the whole subject completely, or we don't even talk about it. It's almost as if we walk down the street, not look each way before we cross the street, and walk into incoming traffic. And we all know what the disastrous and ill-intended consequences are when you do such an action. I know that for many of us, we want to be socially accepted, but I think it's really important that you accept yourself first before all else. Because yes, there are standards in which we need to have, and yes, we need to be able to feel fulfilled. We need to achieve that level of happiness. We need to be able to surround ourselves with the things that we enjoy the most. But I think, and I encourage you, especially if you haven't done so lately, to take a big step back and look at the bigger picture. In other words, help yourself to see that other people are going through. Go to a food pantry. Go volunteer at an animal shelter. Go volunteer at a homeless shelter. Go volunteer in a place in which your services and talents are needed the most. Because I will tell you something right now. If you ever wanted to feel a level of acceptance in something that you really honestly wanted to do, it's not found at a bar or restaurant. It's not found at a music concert or a social event. It's not even found in your office where you tediously work day in and day out. It's with the people that desperately want to hear your voice. Those are the people that want that acceptance, and you have that ability to give it to others. I think that means then that no matter what level of destitution that you have, you're able to provide not only those opportunities for others. Maybe you are becoming a different type of political animal based on Aristotle's definition. And I think I might kind of like you if you are doing those sort of things that make you a better person and more well-rounded. But don't take my definition for it, because I'm accepting who I am. Are you accepting who you are? I think that once you do that, you have a deeper appreciation for not only letting go of the things that count the most, but you're also going to let go so much more. That emotional baggage, that relationship that might be toxic. But maybe, just maybe, you'll find more things that are more fulfilling in life that will lead you into the calling that you were destined to do. And I think that is something worth achieving. And I think that is also something that you can let go of. Because when you are living by that standard, it doesn't matter what I have to say or what the world has to say. Live in the moment of intentionality and help others to find the same. Thanks for listening to episode number 77 of Speaking from the Heart, and I look forward to hearing from your heart very soon.
Thanks for listening. For more information about our podcast and future shows, search for Speaking from the Heart to subscribe and be notified wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at www.yourspeakingvoice.biz for more information about potential services that can help you create the best version of yourself. See you next time.